Everyday Life with Guardsmares, Chapter 1. Her Royal Highness Princess Celestia, Princess of the Sun, took a moment to consider the individuals before her. Satisfied, she gave a slight smile to them.
Thank you for your update, Chancellor Strings and Engineer Anonymous.
Bowing before her was her little pony, Purse Strings, Chancellor of the Exchequer, and her rather larger, not at all a pony, and Royal Engineer Anonymous, who together had just delivered their monthly report on Anonymous's efforts to industrialize Equestria. Having found the report satisfactory, she gave a gentle nod in acknowledgement.
If there's nothing else, I would like a moment to speak with Anon.
Nothing at this time, Your Highness. I will take my leave.
With another bow, Purse Strings nodded his head and closed his enormous ledger with a resounding thud. Then somehow wrangled it into the large saddlebag strapped to his back before exiting the small presence chamber reserved for intimate meetings with Celestia's most trusted ministers and advisors. Anonymous, dressed in his black tailcoat and white shirt with his elegant red Royal Engineer sash visible, regarded the princess with a questioning look on his face, still clutching the bundle of papers with his notes on them.
Anonymous, your services to Equestria have not gone unnoticed. A growing number of members of the court have come to appreciate your endeavors. As such, I have the privilege of bestowing upon you one of the boons available to those who serve the crown.
On Princess Celestia's cue, a guard pony and officer's regalia entered the room, with 3 more guards ponies marching in line abreast behind her. Following the turn of the princess's head, Anon took a step back to regard the new arrivals.
Attention!
The officer, clacking her hind hooves on the floor, saluted the princess and Royal Engineer, with the 3 guards behind her doing likewise.
Present!
Another hoof clack, and the 3 guards sat their hindquarters down and thrusted their chests out. After a moment, Anon turned his head back to look at Celestia, a questioning look on his face.
One of the privileges granted to very important ponies is a personal detachment of Equestria's finest. You may now enjoy security and dignity wherever your work may take you.
Raising his eyebrows, Anon nodded his head. Thank you very much, Your Highness. Sensing some surprise and reservation, Celestia leaned over a little and spoke softly.
Is something wrong?
Well, I'm honored, of course, but I didn't think there were any kind of safety problems in Canterlot serious enough to warrant bodyguards. Celestia couldn't help but smirk. His answer was typical of the pragmatic person that she knew him to be.
You might be surprised, but you're right, security is only part of the reason for being assigned guards. It is considered a mark of dignity and wealth for courtiers in Canterlot to have a retinue of bodyguards, whether needed or not. Normally, those who live outside the palace must hire their own. However, for guests of the palace such as yourself, as well for recent arrivals who have not yet established themselves in the city, the Royal Guard provides a VIP honor guard service.
Anon nodded his head in understanding, assuaged by the princess's response. I see. In olden times we had similar customs where I'm from. Servants called footmen were hired almost more as a display of wealth than any practical purpose.
Of course. But I trust you'll find my Royal Guard useful as well as decorative. Lieutenant Violetta, if you would kindly introduce us.
The officer Guardsmare saluted again, giving regard to the pony at the end of the line.
Specialist Sparkshower, present!
A young Pegasus mare with a cream-colored coat and a brilliant blonde mane took a step forward and saluted the princess, before repeating the motion for Anonymous.
Specialist Sparkshower, reporting for duty, Your Highness. Sir, by the honor of the Royal Guard, I pledge my life in the service of your protection.
Lieutenant Violetta nodded, satisfied.
Specialist Sparkshower has volunteered for VIP duty out of the 19D Armored Scouts. A swifter, quieter, and more diligent scout you won't find in the entire division.
Anon nodded in acknowledgement as the lieutenant moved on to the pony in the middle of the trio.
Specialist Glamour Spear, present!
Another young guardsmare, this one a pink-colored unicorn with a teal and cyan mane, stepped forward and repeated the ritual introduction, prompting Lieutenant Violetta to present the specialist's resume.
Specialist Glamour Spear comes to you from the 14E Air Defense Company and brings best-in-class abilities with magical shielding and telekinetic anti-air projectiles.
As if to put an exclamation point on that statement, the unicorn's horn took on a teal glow, and for a brief moment a translucent green hemispherical defensive field flashed above her head. Once Anon acknowledged the flashy display and the flashy mare who performed it, it was time to present the final member of the trio, an earth pony with a brown coat and a chocolate brown mane.
Corporal Bound, present!
The non-commissioned officer stepped forward with an experienced soldier's steady gait and a stern gaze.
Corporal Bound is a veteran of the 11B Infantry and has served all across Equestria from the Celestial Sea to Luna Ocean. There is not a single danger situation that she hasn't been in, and as the NCO of your detachment, will provide leadership to the other guards on duty.
All three guards have been presented, and Princess Celestia turned her attention back to Anonymous.
Well, Engineer Anonymous, what do you think?
I think Your Majesty has overburdened me with her generous gifts. If a portal to Tartarus opened up in my chambers, I feel as though I needn't so much as draw close my robes. Before Celestia could answer, Lieutenant Violetta puffed out her chest and spoke up in a proud voice.
That's the idea, sir.
The gathered individuals shared an expression of mirth, mutually experiencing an internal chuckle at the lieutenant's gung-ho enthusiasm. At the moment of levity, Anonymous took a moment's pause before turning to the princess, lifting an eyebrow. Question, Your Majesty. I can't help but notice that all three guards I've been assigned are mares. While in court, you seem to be constantly surrounded by guard stallions, so is there some significance to that? As astute as ever, it was little wonder Purse Strings spoke so highly of Anon's attention to detail.
As a matter of fact, there is. As an escortive bodyguard is, as I've mentioned, as much for decoration as for security, it is the traditional custom for unattached VIPs to be escorted by guards of the opposite sex, to better show off their worthiness.
To avoid lingering on that obvious euphemism and its implications, Her Highness continued on.
Lieutenant Temper Violetta will be the officer in charge of your detachment, although she will reside in the main barracks. The members of your escort will be housed in the servants' quarters on the second floor, above your chamber.
Am I to be escorted at all times? The lieutenant piped up.
VIP guard duty is performed for 16 hours a day from 0800 hours to 2400 hours, with a 2-shift rotation. 3 guards are assigned so as to accommodate for regular royal guard duties and leave. And if you have any more questions, you may direct them to the lieutenant. She will also handle any scheduling or special requests that you may have.
Recognizing the subtle cue that the princess's presentation was now over, Anon turned to her and bowed once more. Your Majesty is overgenerous with her gifts. I shall redouble my efforts to bring in scientific and industrial enlightenment to Equestria. Princess Celestia nodded once more, signaling the group's dismissal. As Anonymous, Lieutenant Violetta, and his assigned guards made their exit through the presence chamber doors, the princess allowed herself a slight frown. More zealous work from Anon wasn't what she had in mind with the ceremony. He was a well-adjusted, down-to-earth creature who'd quickly recovered from the shock at being transported to a completely foreign land and launched himself into useful work. However, his frenetic pace was unsustainable without strong bonds to Equestria and its people. Eventually, unless he developed some lasting roots, he would burn himself out, and that would be a terrible waste. It was Celestia's hope that the more she could get Anonymous involved in court life in Canterlot society and in pony culture as a whole, the better it would be in the long run, even if it meant sacrificing his valuable time to frivolous pursuits. Do I really need to say it? Because I have a feeling you all know where this is gonna go. Anyway, let's get on to our very honorable donators. Top donators, Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, J Tinman, Darkside, and Ponyman. CourierCruz CI, Delta Omega, Strix, RuneScythe 9852, Dospo, Rhyny Dragonwolf, Hunter Norman, Secret Moon, Tal Rasha, The Toilet Snake, Sword Brethren Mordred, Cerberus, Goulash Eating Hazar, Starlight Glimmer, Squiddy Boy, David D. Sanchez, Soul Dragon, Gaggy, Trey, Shadow Drake, Joe Piercy, Alex F., Rainbow Dash, Teal'ca Anderson, TV Killer, John Becker, Leon Reynolds, Raven Speedster, and Zach Cruchow.
Thank you all very much for watching this video, and live life to the fullest.